The title of this video is inspired by unOrdinaryWorld, who made a video touring Australia on a Honda CB125, so shout out to him. As you will know, every December we, as in people from Limpopo, have to trek back home on the N1 for the holidays. I left Gauteng for the holidays on 15 December 2025 and decided to do some sightseeing in Mpumalanga before making it home in Mankweng by dinner time. I specifically wanted to see God's window and the 3 Rondavels viewpoint on the Mpumalanga escarpment. My starting point was in Centurion. For this trip, I am going to be using the 2013 model Honda CBR250R, which has 23 horsepower as mentioned in the title of this video, to travel. All my luggage is in a backpack. This bike has a 11-liter capacity fuel tank, which I had filled the night before. This trip is actually a second attempt to reach the same viewpoints. My initial trip was on 5 December 2025, where I had failed to reach both viewpoints due to a combination of having left Centurion late in the morning, running out of fuel, and having issues with the battery terminal. I am currently editing the footage from the 5 December trip and will post it ASAP. For this trip, I have fixed the battery terminal and started the trip much earlier in the morning, as you will see. The total distance is just over 700 kilometers. My planned route is to join the N1 south from Centurion, take the N12 to Witbank, where I will take my first break, continue on the N4 to Belfast and thereafter Lydenburg, take the R37 to Graskop and thereafter the R532 to the 3 Rondavels viewpoint. From then on, join the R36 to Tzaneen and thereafter make it home to Mankweng. To minimize costs, I will also need to avoid toll plaza fees on the N4 by taking alternative routes. A detailed cost breakdown will be provided at the end of the video. To start off, I left Centurion just after 5:30 in the morning. The weather was cloudy at the time. The forecast I had looked at the previous night indicated that Graskop would have sunny skies for the day. So I was just concerned with getting out of Gauteng to the better weather in Mpumalanga. To keep up with time, I was aiming to maintain a speed of just under 130 kilometers per hour on the highways. The speedometer on this bike is 90% accurate when measured with the GPS radar. And then there was this guy passing me like I'm standing. I think this Polo driver got the "babe, I'm home alone" text. Anyway, I'm hoping he made it safe wherever he was heading. You must be really awake when you take Galuli's interchange. One missed turn can add 30 minutes of rerouting to your trip time and many frustrations. After Davidton, it's just green fields ahead. You get the sense that you are leaving civilization behind. This is when I pulled past a 1 million rand BYD Shark hybrid buggy on a bike that I purchased with a sticker price of 13,000 rand. From here on, it was typical uneventful straight line highway riding while watching the rising sun. My plan was to off-ramp at Mandela Street and stop for a break at the Total Garage just by the highway for a coffee and some leg stretching. If you don't know, Bootleggers currently has a 30 rand special for all coffees purchased before 8 a.m. After more than an hour's rest, a Bootleggers extra large coffee and a chocolate chip cookie, it was time to get back on the road. Before that, I did top up with 60 rand worth of petrol. My plan was to now head to Lydenburg and fill the tank there for reasons which I will explain in another video. A full tank for this bike is 11 liters. My observed fuel consumption over 8,000 kilometers has consistently been 3.3 liters per 100 kilometers. My initial estimate was that the full tank petrol I'd fill in Centurion would not cover the full 357 kilometer distance to Lydenburg. The 60 rand top up was to ensure that I would make it to Lydenburg. To avoid paying the 81 rand Middelburg Plaza toll fee, I had to detour through Witbank and took the R35 road to Middelburg. I was trying to keep the cost of this trip as low as possible and had budgeted for the 40-minute delay of not using the highway. Overtaking on the R35 is very limited and you have to be on the watch for oncoming traffic. The road also has slow-moving lorries which can add to frustration and you need to keep your head level. I was soon behind this trailer with a cow. Seeing that it's December, I had a guess that this cow was not long for this world and will be slaughtered for a wedding or mukiti. Before the mid-Vit traffic control center, I turned right on the R575 road and was soon back on the highway. From here on, it was just highway speed driving. Just outside Belfast, there was a roadblock and I had to lane field to the front. I off-ramped into Belfast. The plan was to now take the R540 route to Lydenburg. Had it not been for the Machado Dorp toll plaza ahead, I would have continued on the highway and taken the R36 to Lydenburg instead. Belfast appears to have the facilities of a modern civilization. There's a Galitos, a KFC, a Debonairs Pizza. There's also a spa for groceries. Alzu feeds are very big in this part of the country. It reminds me of how NWK dominates parts of the Northwest. Once outside of town, I was back on the throttle. The next town was Dullstroom. The thing about this road is that it encourages speeding with its long sweeping corners and unhindered visibility for the road ahead. Riding through Dullstroom reminded me so much of Haenertberg in Tzaneen. Once outside of town, the road passes through some green valleys. Very soon my fuel gauge was flashing that it was on reserve, and I was starting to worry that I had miscalculated. But my bike did not disappoint me. Soon I was on the outskirts of Lydenburg and made it into town just before 12 p.m. I filled up the tank at Astron Energy with 200 Rand as I had planned before taking a 30-minute leg stretch.
Kali 95 200. 95 200. Yeah.
So, with my brake over and the bike refueled, it was time to hit the road and make the final push to Graskop. To get from Lydenburg to Graskop, I had initially planned to take the R533 road and pass through Pilgrim's Rest. The day before this trip, I switched and would now take the R37 LongTom Pass, mainly to see the canyon and to ride through the twisties. I was not disappointed. The LongTom Pass has to be one of the most scenic routes I have ever taken. Just close to the highest point of the pass is a viewpoint of the low veld in all its glory that I had to stop and take in. I am very fortunate to have had good weather to enjoy the views. It's also very unnerving seeing the clouds so close. You really need to keep your head and proceed with caution into the blind turns, as there can be slow moving or even stationary traffic. I have ridden through Magoebaskloof and the Kloof Pass in Limpopo, and I have to say that in terms of technical skill, the roads on the Mpumalanga escarpment are more challenging. There's a lot more blind curves, roads that are often bumpy, and some sections that do not have barriers separating you from the cliff, meaning if for whatever reasons you were to fall off, it's going to be a long way down. You can watch the full unedited video of the LongTom Pass on my channel. Just before the location of the LongTom Canyon is this hill section, which reminded me of Horsepower Hill on the Bruno circuit for those of you MotoGP fans. I tried to power up the hill, but this little Honda only makes 23 horsepower and could only carry 120 km/h speed to the top. You can actually see Sabie from the viewpoint near the canyon. This is the nice little town of Sabie. Not too many people out on the street, as you can see. Just outside of Sabie, my camera's battery died, and I only realized this when I got to WonderView. This in turn means that I lost the footage of passing through Graskop, Pinnacle Rock and God's Window. I did not go to God's window as initially planned. I was starting to be concerned that I did not have sufficient time to take a walk through the rainforest. I also did not want to pay the entry fee just for the panoramic view, as WonderView is just close by and offers similar views at no charge. So in the end, I concluded on going to WonderView so that I would not stay too long. With that done, it was time to head for 3 Rondavels. Mpumalanga is very beautiful. Riding through this environment, I wanted to say something about how this is a pristine natural area, but remember that this has also been taken over by the commercial forestry and agriculture industries. Either way, it is such a welcome change for a person from a city like myself who has to contend daily with highway traffic and security estates with cookie cutter homes that cost in excess of 1 million rand. This area is called the Gold Rush and is used for rock climbing. Some people call this being out in nature. The definition of nature as per the Cambridge Dictionary refers to all the animals, plants, rocks, etc. in the world and all the features, forces and processes that happen or exist independently of people, such as the weather, the sea, mountains, the production of young animals or plants and growth. Take ants for example. Suppose that we were to come across an anthill. Most people would agree at once that the structure is part of nature since ants are animals. I do not understand why humans are excluded from the definition of nature, considering that we are also animals. Sometimes when I'm trying to be antagonistic, I like to argue that human creations such as city centers, highways are part of nature since they were created by human animals. Nobody questions an anthill being part of nature, but a skyscraper is not? Question mark. This is me just thinking out loud. So with that, I had arrived at the 3 Rondavels. I had to stop by the admission center to remove my camera so as to not unnerve the security guard and to take out money for the admission. The admission charge is 48 rand and they only take card payment. The hardest part about climbing Mount Everest is the down climb. So now that I had reached my goals of passing by God's window and the 3 Rondavels viewpoint, I realized that I was starting to tire and was hungry. I had been on the road since 5:30 in the morning. I had not eaten since Witbank when I had a cookie with coffee. It was now 4 p.m. in the afternoon and home was only 210 kilometers away. There is a coffee shop at the 3 Rondavels viewpoint. From their menu, they seem to serve decent food. I had to get back on the road since I was more concerned with making it home before dark and also not spoiling my appetite for the family dinner. There's something about the human psyche which invites intrusive thoughts when passing through wilderness terrain. I kept thinking about what would happen if I were to experience a mechanical breakdown while driving through this area. I would be fully exposed and open to attack from any animal that fancied its chances against me. Unlike with a bike, with a car, you can sit safely inside until roadside assistance reaches you. Just before the Abel Erasmus Pass, I stopped to check the fuel level in the tank. I figured that I still had enough to get to Tzaneen with the fuel from Lydenburg and would not need to stop at the Total Energies Tunnel Plaza service station. The one thing about driving in Limpopo, especially in the rural areas, is livestock on the road. It's just bad juju to hit someone's animals. If you are passing through the JG Strijdom tunnel on a motorcycle, I would suggest taking it easy and avoiding too much lean. The road here as of December 2025 is quite bumpy and has many turns. Just as I passed Lenyenye, the reserve light on the fuel gauge flashed. This meant that I had 3 liters of fuel remaining. I pulled into the next fuel station to refuel. So I refueled and was back on the R36 road. There was still some 92 kilometers between me and home. I think the Limpopo government should consider expanding this section of the R36 road into a dual carriageway, seeing how busy it is. As you can see, the road is currently a single carriageway, which limits overtaking. When I got to Tzaneen, I chose to enter the CBD and see some of the old sites for nostalgia. I am a Limpopo person and I used to frequent Tzaneen when I was much younger. My father used to work at this Bear's furniture store. This is the old post office building. I remember buying a copy of Pass and collecting it here, as my mother used to maintain a post office box. Personally, I find it easier going up a mountain than going down. When going downwards, there's so much more to do, especially with trail breaking. Going uphill, I am mostly concerned with line selection. Just outside Haenertberg, I ran into slow traffic in the curvy sections, which I was then able to clear on a long straight. Before long, I was passing Tzaneen City Moria. The traffic police were kind enough to welcome me to Teflop. When I passed the University of Limpopo entrance, there was some traffic. It turns out the ANC Youth League were having an elective conference and the president was also in attendance. And yeah, that's it, man. I made it home safe. Many thanks to the bike for being reliable as always. There was not one hiccup on the road during the trip. I just need to change the chain and sprockets though. I want to now go through the monetary cost of this trip, starting with the fuel purchases. Centurion was 200, Witbank was 60 rand, Lydenburg was 200 and Lenyenye was 100 rand. In total, the fuel cost was 560 rand. The entrance fee at 3 Rondavels was 48 rand. The coffee I had in Witbank was 29 rand and the chocolate chip cookie was 28 rand. So in total, I spent 665 rands. If you ask me, this is way cheaper than paying for an hour to have a session with a therapist. Anyways, I'm gonna end the video here. Thanks for watching. Cheers.